Hey, it's Michael Ball, better known as Ballsy, and welcome to another CanWest Top 50 show. This 10-part series is doing exactly what we wanted it to do, and we decided to do it, and that is generate interest for our up-and-coming football stars. Now, on this week's list, we've got 2 receivers, 2 great under-the-radar linebackers, an outstanding defensive back, and 1 stud offensive lineman. But before we reveal this week's grouping, let's rewind to last week to see how we got here.
With Calgary defender Jacob Biggs. I love the look, the hair over the. Now, is that a hat or that's a visor? It's got to be a visor.
Oh, visor going. Yeah, it's a visor going. Kind of a
That's
summer
awesome,
gig. Right?
Yeah, you're looking very studious. Hey, Jacob, what are you taking in school?
Right now, I'm doing a dual major, finance and economics.
Okay, so what do you want to do once football's done for you?
Oh, that's kind of just something I'm playing around with right now. I kind of want to maybe lead the corporate finance side, depending on what happens with approaching football and everything kind of like that, but just kind of playing it by ear right now. Have
you always been a numbers guy?
You know what? I think it was actually something that I got into probably my first year of university after I took my first finance course. Caught my attention. A lot of my friends also liked it, so kind of just, led that path, and then that's where I am right now.
Are you good with money?
You know what? I like to think I am. Sometimes spend some money on things that probably aren't the best, but.
Okay, so give me an example of Jacob Biggs splurging. How does he splurge? What is he? How does he unwisely spend his money sometimes?
Oh, probably Big T's. Big T's is probably like the best local spot for barbecue, right beside McMahon. That's how I spend my money right after practice. Yeah.
Okay. What do you get there when you go there?
Oh man, the full platter. Always with the guys for sure.
And what's on the full platter? Come on, fill me in here, big guy.
Oh, you got ribs, coleslaw, you got salad, potatoes. What else you got? You got some steak. You got a bunch of just different cooked meats. But it's cool because you can kind of split it up, spread it around the team. It's nice taking out rookies too. It's a really fun interactive spot. So.
Who took you under his wing when you came to the Calgary Dinos? Who was the guy that did that for you?
Oh, man, all the DBs. Actually, I had a bunch. Nick Stats, Sterling Taylor, Trayshawn Abraham Webster, Dean Leonard, Joe Kant. They were all just great guys. They had some experience previously, of course. So just myself getting, starting to play in my first year, that was huge. I think it was really nerve-wracking for myself. Big jump. In terms of, competitive curve and stuff like that. But, they really broke it down for me in simple terms. Just kind of told me, learn the fundamentals. This is where you'll probably be in the next couple of years. We're here to support you and everything. So it was a really good culture jumping into.
Are you a vocal leader? Like, do you take guys like that? You said you like taking the rookies out. Are you a kind of a rah guy, or are you a lead by example kind of guy?
You know what? I think it's important to kind of be both. At this point, I think, my first year, I was kind of more of, that quiet figure who kind of just stood around and observed others. After you get into your third year, you start to know the guys on your team a little bit more, get a lot comfortable with them. And I think it's important that you're able to help the rookies out, kind of, do what other guys did for me. So trying to be that vocal leader as well.
So speaking of numbers, 35 tackles this year. I talked to the coaches. They said, your versatility really shone through in 2019, I guess last year, a couple years ago, as because of injury, you were called upon to come down that Sam linebacker spot. Just evaluate your play, 35 tackles, 6 pass breakups. It's a pretty good year for Jacob Biggs.
Yeah, it was good. It was good. It was it was a different year, kind of changing positions halfway through. But again, just the coaching staff and the players really helped me adapt to the position. A lot of experience, especially from, at the time, 5th-year player Nick Stats, who'd been playing the position throughout his whole DB career. Wow, yeah, that made a huge impact. Matthew Lecision as well, safety for Calgary Dinos. He's just probably one of the smartest, versatile players that I've personally seen, understands all the concepts of the game and everything. So just having those two people beside me, helping me, made the game a lot more simple.
You definitely you guys have had some problems getting over the hump and winning that Vanier Cup. Always in the mix, never could push it over the top. How did it feel to finally get to the mountaintop, so to speak?
You know what? I think I can't even begin to explain how it felt. It's one of those things that, till this day, it's still like, I still can't believe we won the Vanier. It's like one of those things, just the memories with all the guys, etc. It was interesting seeing, a bunch of the fifth-year players who went, to Hardy Cups, and just never got to the Vanier, Cup spot. But at the same time, they were able to get there in their final year. And I think that was just the biggest thing. Seeing those players, as they went on to their next, CFL careers, educational careers, etc., giving them the win of the Vanier Cup was probably the biggest, best feeling.
And just think that semifinal game against Manitoba, it comes down to a 2-point conversion. That's how close it was for you guys not going to the next round and then getting your ultimate dream.
Exactly. Yeah. And hats off to, all those teams, Sask, Manitoba. Those were really competitive games. They both have great athletes. And I think, especially that year, we were able to put on some great performances against, probably excite the fans a little bit, which was good.
Really underrated product is CanWest football. Would you not agree? I know you're a little biased because you're obviously playing in it. I'm dumbfounded when I go to Calgary to watch a game and hardly anybody goes, or I go to Regina and you see all the guys that have gone through the Rams programs, not just CFL guys, but NFL guys, even Manitoba. Like, UBC gets some fans, U of S gets some fans, but man, I'm surprised more people don't get on board with this product.
Yeah, that's definitely one of the things that I think CanWest is struggling a little bit. But at the same time, I think it's beginning to start to grow. A lot of people are realizing the potential, the capacity behind the teams. And it's really starting to get, exciting watching these games. Hopefully going on as we continue after COVID and everything, hopefully the games are more televised. People are able to attend more and everything. So hopefully we see a little bit of a turnaround.
So in 2021, we're going to assume you get on the field and play some games this year. Don't know how big a schedule it'll be, but let's stay positive. I'm told people expect you to be a leader on defense, to be maybe the best versatile defender. How do you feel about that statement?
You know what? I think it's something that I'm definitely up to the task for. At the end of the day, defense is one of those things where you have to have players all around. Communication is imperative. So at the end of the day, you can have one player who's outstanding, but if the rest of the team isn't on the communication key points, then you're not going to be able to succeed. So I'm very lucky to have a bunch of teammates around me who are, communicative, respect each other and just work hard together.
Yeah. So do you have any personal goals for yourself this season?
As far as personal goals, I think it's just, doing my part to provide for the team at the end of the day. Just putting it all in practice, putting it out at every game, just seeing where, what happens at the end of the year.
If we were to scout Jacob Biggs, what's your best attribute? If I'm scouting you, what's your best attribute?
I think it's just adapting and learning to different scenarios, different playbooks, etc. And just being a team player at the end of the day. I think that's what our team defense is built upon, being able to place players into ever-changing environments and then being able to adapt and overcome situations and stuff like that. So
do you want to be a professional football player?
Of course. It's a dream, lifelong dream.
Yeah. So who have you looked up to professionally while you're watching football? Somebody that you want to shoot to be?
I think there's always been like those, kind of idols in my corner, or people that I've just like had fun watching. People bring different influential attitudes to the game. I love Marshawn Lynch. His attitude he brings to football is just kind of an exciting kind of tone to the game. One of the biggest models for myself is probably my dad, of course. He played CFL 8 years, and I think just seeing him and where he is now, not just focusing on football, but also being, academic inclined, stuff like that. I think that was probably my biggest influence. Yeah.
So your dad played football. Does he give you the fifth quarter? How much advice does he give you after every game, or does he kind of let you be your own dude?
You know what? At the end of the day, he realizes that, you gotta do it kind of on your own. He's there for support, and that's what he's kind of been there through my whole life. Just there to when I need advice, he's there. He'll tell me what he's experienced, how he dealt with different situations, stuff like that. But, you know, he's also let me kind of lead my own path, which has been awesome.
What's the one thing that you really didn't like about football that you'd be happy to do over and over and over again now?
You know what? There's not really anything that I disliked about football. I think there was stuff that was more rigorous than others. You know, practice intensity, stuff like that. But at the end of the day, you play football because you love it. You love all those aspects to it. So it's not as much as that, you know, there's things that I wished didn't happen in football. It's more of, you know, I just wish I could do more of it now.
But you, October night, you'd be up for being in full equipment running gassers, right?
Oh, let's do it. Throw me on. Give me some equipment. Let's do it.
Thanks for this, Jacob. A continued success both on the field and in the classroom, okay?
Thank you.
Here with our friend Nick Thomas, linebacker for the Manitoba Bisons from BC. How do you like being in a landlocked province, buddy?
Oh my goodness, I don't know what to think. These restrictions they're getting a little crazy, but we're dealing with this. We can still go outside and train, so.
Yeah, generally, how do you like Winnipeg? Have you found your time good on the prairies? Had you ever been to the prairies before, Nick?
I've never been there recently, but I really enjoyed it. It's just like the people around is more what makes it pleasant and enjoyable. So the weather's not though.
So Brian Dobie's done a good job going out to BC and getting players. How did Brian Dobie woo you? How did he convince you to come to Winnipeg?
I don't know. He's like one of the first guys to reach out to me, one of the first universities to get back to me. So I really like that, and just like the faith or like he really wanted me to excel and do well, and he really just got my, you know how he likes to talk a lot.
Oh yeah.
He really convinced. Yeah,
he's a good salesman. Do you look at him like kind of like a father figure? Because here's what he told me. This is one of the best people to ever come through our program, and if I could adopt the kid, I would. You look at him like he's a father figure.
Oh yeah, he's done a lot of things for me, and he's been really good for me like since I've been there, and like we always just hit him up and just ask him. Like we actually go to the dog park with our dogs together, so that's my guy. I do look at him as like a father figure too.
What kind of dog do you have?
I have an American Bulldog Shepherd.
You always been a dog guy?
No, I actually was like kind of scared of dogs until I got a dog, and like just like I've just been watching dog videos and and like I just really love dogs now. So
that's awesome, man. So you're in Winnipeg. You're away from you know where you're from, BC. What's it? You know, how important is it to have a guy like Brian Dobie, have some good teammates, good friends for a guy that's not you know, he's a couple provinces, 3 provinces away from where he's from.
It's really good like having a guy like Coach Dobie. He's always there. He's always in your corner, and he's always rooting for me. Always like thinks the best of me and thinks highly of me, and like he's always there like boosting me, like telling me that I'm gonna go to the league, telling me this and that. So I really like. It's really important to have that like kind of connection. I think especially when you're away from home, to have guys in your corner like that are always rooting for you. Yeah. And like I'm with him like every day pretty much in the season, so having guys like that there right beside me is
what was the transition like from rugby to high school or to football? Because you didn't have football where you were. You played rugby, but what was that like transferring from rugby to football?
Yeah, it was honestly so fun. Like when I started playing rugby, I was just watch like rugby videos, how to engage into a ruck, how to pass the ball, and so I pretty much did the same with football. Like watching videos, watching like NFL Top 100. Like I would just watch videos, but I was very raw when I first started playing, for sure, and I still think I am as an athlete. But yeah, the transition was a lot different. That's for sure. Rugby's a continuous game. The football, there's lots of stops, and everything's very critical. I think in football, like every play, every step that you take kind of matters.
Yeah, it could work to your advantage, though. I heard you're a very meticulous tackler, which is good, and you can run all day long. I would imagine the constant flow of rugby has helped you athletically, come to football.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like just like when I tackle, like I don't even notice it when I tackle because that's just how I've always tackled. Like you're not allowed to just throw your shoulder into a guy in rugby. You got to wrap up, take him to the ground. Gator roll. I've always been taught to gator roll in rugby, and so yeah, and it's continuous. Like I'll make 1 tackle, 2 tackle, 3 tackle, like in a row in rugby. So yeah,
that's awesome, man. And I would think, you don't wear equipment in rugby. So do you have a false sense of, false sense of invincibility in football because you got a helmet, you got pads? Like,
oh yeah.
I've been told you don't really care about your own body. So why would you care about anybody else's body? Like you're like a heat-seeking missile. Do you kind of have that sense of invincibility?
You are weaponized with that helmet and those shoulder pads on. Like you really you can get seriously hurt, and like you got to play the game with no fear. So yeah, I do think that like I could take on any type of challenge. So
yeah. Coach was saying though, the only thing that's really held you back has been injury. So do you feel like this pandemic has been good for you getting your body right?
Oh yeah, like I've definitely been doing all the mobility work, and like I did have a rib injury at a chondral junction in my rib. And so like yeah, I've just been working a lot on my core, making sure everything's right with me. And but yeah, like these I should be good for the season. Like this is all the off seasons, like you're preparing not to get injured pretty much. You got to make it through the whole season. So I'm just doing everything, trying to take care of
for a guy that just described himself as raw. Has the pandemic also been good to help you fine tune your game, maybe work on some things that you wouldn't normally get to in the hustle and bustle of a season?
Yeah, I've definitely been working a lot on my footwork this off. Like since like the pandemic started, I've been trying to. In my tape, you'll see that there's not many interceptions, but so I'm gonna be working on like a lot of my footwork, just like my coverage skills, and also in the playbook to get myself ahead of the game. So.
Well, coach said you're the best linebacker on the team. He figures you're the best linebacker on the roster, but he feels like you're under the radar. Do you feel that way? Do you feel like you're about ready when we get on the field to burst on the scene if the health lines up and everything lines up for you?
Yeah, I do think I'm under the radar, like with maybe like recruits and like scouts, but I know that everybody watches film in this league. So I know that people are going to see like my play. And scouts, obviously, when my time comes, they're gonna be looking at me. But I've been like pretty humble, just like staying to myself a lot. So I'm not like the extroverted type of guy. So
yeah. What do you like to do away from the football field? What like you got a dog now? What else do you like to do here? And have you done some cool things or different things during this pandemic that you wouldn't normally get to do because you'd be busy with football?
I go on hikes. I really like hiking. Like obviously in BC here, we got beautiful mountains and stuff and such. So I go on hikes. I used to be in Winnipeg. I'm a video game guy because there's not much else to do. But hiking. I did like yoga classes like during the start of the pandemic when they were still open.
You're a psychology. You're a psychology student too. How much does that help you with mental health? I've asked other guys that. Like, mental health is a big deal. We talk about it in sports, and this is weighed on a lot of people, and especially athletes that train so hard. And it's nice to practice and it's nice to work out, but you want to play the damn football game. How have you dealt with this mentally?
It's been like, honestly, it's kind of nice. Like I said, like I'm not that extrovert. I'm kind of an introvert. So like just taking time to myself and these psychology courses, it really breaks down kind of into like what's going on in your mind. Like, so like I've been handling this pandemic okay, I think. But
awesome, man.
Definitely,
we're looking forward to getting on the field and watching you. You're one of why I like doing this. I get to meet guys like you where I kind of see your name on the roster. Maybe I'll call your name when I'm broadcasting the Rams games. Now I can put a background to the name I see on paper, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what you can bring to the table, my friend.
Thank you.
All right, speaking with Rams receiver Riley BOERSMA. Dude, I'm on the Rams website, and you're a lot more clean cut, like in terms of your hair than now. Is that your pandemic hair?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah. Did you get lazy, or you wanted to go long, or is that kind of a prerequisite now because it's you and Stusik kind of taking up the targets now? He's got long hair. Are you buying into the Bennett Stusik cult?
Well, I have talked to Stusik about it, and I think it would be nice if we both had long hair.
Is this the first time you've had long hair?
No, I used to have long hair a long time, like in like grade 9 and 10.
Mm-hmm.
I cut it and then just haven't really cut it since the pandemic.
Did you play football back then?
Yeah.
Did you ever get tackled by your hair?
Yeah, a couple times I've had that happen.
How did that feel?
It's not that bad. There's worse feelings I've had in a football game, so.
As PG as it can get, what's the worst thing you've ever had happen to you in a football game? Somebody hit you in the private parts?
Yeah, I've had that a couple times, yeah.
Yeah. Anybody try to gouge your face or anything like that under a pile?
Yeah, definitely had some stuff like that before too. There's definitely some little things people do when you're on the ground and Russ can't see it, but.
Yeah, that's a funny thing for people that have never played football. It's not like you guys all pile up and then get up all nicey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's things you definitely can't see when you're watching the game, but.
Yeah, come on, Riley. Do you take it? Do you give it back a little bit?
No, not too much. I try and just make some catches to get back at them.
That's awesome. That's good. And make some catches you did. You broke out in a starting role in your second year with the program, averaging 22.8 yards a catch, which is the most in a single season in terms of average by a U of R Rams receiver who had at least 20 catches. How do you feel about that?
I feel pretty good. I don't. It's a good feeling, definitely. Yeah, it was a nice way to start my career on the Rams.
How do you feel when I tell you your coach Mark McConkey said you're probably the best built receiver that the team has going into the 2021 season?
I don't know. That's a nice thing for him to say. That's definitely feels good to hear that.
Yeah. What do you think about Coach McConkey and just the offense under Coach McConkey?
Oh, it's I don't know. I really can't complain about anything. That's for sure. I think Coach McConkey's a great coach. He interacts with all the players well, and listens to what we have to say, and it's just a really good dynamic we have under him right now.
So what's your best attribute as a receiver, do you feel? I talk about these stats. Looks like you can take the top off a defense, a 75-yard touchdown, a 76-yard touchdown, a 69-yard touchdown. It seems like you're kind of the deep guy for the team. Is that how you see yourself?
Yeah, I think so. Especially last year when we had Shinbine and Morty, those fifth-year guys who got most of the targets. And I think, my role last year was primarily, just being a deep threat. And I think I fit that role pretty well. But I'd like to, I also think I'm pretty reliable, and I can, kind of fill those positions that we're leaving as well.
Yeah, Riley, can you become a leader, or is that just something that you have?
I don't know. I think it's mostly just something you have. I think, people are either follow you or they don't. I think some of it just kind of has to do with dispositions. There are definitely little things that you can do. And now that those guys are gone, maybe, there's things that they used to do that me and Stusik can both kind of, take that role, stuff like that. But I think both of us have the dispositions for it. So
besides leadership, what's something, that's a positive thing, something you're growing into? What can you work on to take your game to the next level? I've talked to other guys on all the teams. They've identified this pandemic as watching more film, doing, seeing where I can get better. Where can Riley BOERSMA get better?
Yeah, I think most of where I'm working on right now is just the mental aspect of the game. I don't think I'm necessarily bad in that area, but I could definitely get better just, getting good at recognizing coverages before play even starts. And so I'm always on the same page as Donnelly. I think that's the main thing that I'm going to work on, especially if I'm going to fill one of those positions of Morcat and Shinny, just to, always be in the right place at the right time.
Chemistry is something big between receivers and quarterbacks. How tough has it been to keep that chemistry going here in this weird long off season? I know you got some off season work on the field, but definitely not as much as you normally would.
Yeah, definitely not as much, but me and Donnelly have had some time that we've got to watch some film together and stuff like that, and that I think plays a huge role too. Just being able to make sure you're seeing the same thing when you're on the field, and you can get that in film, and we do have some throwing on the field in small groups and stuff like that too, which is nice, definitely, to keep our chemistry.
So we know you can explode for big plays, but what's a realistic goal for Riley BOERSMA this year?
I don't know. That's tough. I guess we'll have to kind of see how it goes. I think last year we had a lot of good receivers, and I think this year we're gonna have a lot of good receivers too. So it's hard to really tell a personal goal, because I'd like the ball to be getting spread around a lot, because I think that gives us a better chance of winning. So I don't know. Goals to win mostly, I guess.
That's good. Good way to look at it. Okay, so you're from the Guelph area. How did you make it out to the CanWest to Regina? And how do you like being on your own way out here in Western Canada?
Yeah, it's definitely different. So I went to school with another player on the team, Chase Ellingson, he's DB. We went to school together in Ontario at RICC, which was like a prep school that played in the States, and I played at Canada Prep for 1 year. So we roomed together for 3 years, and we were both really good friends, and we ended up getting scholarships to come out here and play football. And I've always I like Ontario, definitely, but I've lived in Ontario my whole life, and I thought it'd be interesting to experience something different. And I also thought at the time, I still think right now, that Regina has a lot of opportunities football-wise. Like we have, I think, a great team, and I think a better chance of winning maybe the Vanier than if I stayed in Ontario.
How do you like Regina, the city? A little bit different than Ontario, but I've been to Guelph. That's a really nice city. Kind of similar, in size and mentality. Do you find that?
Yeah, a little bit, definitely. There's definitely some differences. It's a lot flatter out here. I miss the forests and hills and mountains and stuff like that. But it's definitely nice. It's a small city, and again, I think it really just comes down to who you have around you. And I have a great group of friends, and get along with everyone on the team. So I really can't complain.
Okay, so lastly, besides not cutting your hair, what did you do during the pandemic besides football? Did you read books? Did you pick up on any hobbies? Did you do anything different over this long time here?
Yeah, well, definitely. I guess you can see in the background, I've been reading lots of books since the pandemic started. I also picked up the guitar. Tried to learn the guitar, so getting the hang of that, and it's definitely fun. And I went back home and visited family in Ontario for a little while school was, all online. And also when the gyms were shut down, I have a gym back at home, like in my house. So I went back down there so I could keep my workouts going. So that's pretty much what I've been up to. Nothing too exciting, that's for sure.
Well, that sounds exciting. So first off, what is there a theme to the books you're reading? Or are you like, what are you reading?
Bunch of different stuff, mostly good amount of history and economics.
Okay,
it's primarily what I'm reading.
Good. So. Is that what kind of where you're headed off the football field? Like, what are your interests in terms of, if I don't know if you have an aspiration or aspirations to play pro football, but obviously you got to have some sort of backup plan. That should probably be your first plan. So, is the economics, the history, is that kind of what you're working towards off the field?
Yeah, definitely. I'm majoring in philosophy, politics, and economics. Primarily, I'm interested in all three. I'm primarily interested in economics and the economics of charity. So that's kind of where I'm focused academically. I mean, definitely I have aspirations to play pro football like that. That would be an amazing opportunity, but I'm also very academically driven and interested in my studies. So.
Are you concerned about the health of Canadian football? There's talk about XFL, there's talk about will they get back on the field. Are you concerned about football in Canada in general as a guy that's coming through the ranks right now?
Yeah, I mean, I guess a little bit you can't help but be a little worried, but I guess, there's kind of out of my control. There's nothing I can do about it, but yeah, I think, a little bit worried, I guess.
Yeah. So is it acoustic or electric guitar?
Acoustic.
Okay, and did you get your guitar locally? Where'd you get your guitar? How do you know to pick out the right guitar?
I had no clue. I went to like a small store, and when I was back in Guelph, that's when I got it.
Yeah.
And so it's just a small local store, and I just said, what's good for a beginner? I don't want to spend too much money, but I want to pick up the guitar and learn it. So So they just recommended me one. It's just it's called a Beaver Creek, I think.
Okay, do you have a favorite genre of music? Do you have like, is it rock, is it country?
Yeah, actually primarily like folk rock, I guess. Like
Okay.
I like a lot of Bob Dylan and Leonard Cohen, stuff like that. And I also into the blues and really all kinds of genres of music, rock and roll too, but mostly primarily folk music.
You got your guitar over there, you look to your right.
Yeah, it's right
Grab
here.
Grab it.
All right.
Put out, yeah. Like play us a chord here. You started, you said you're practicing. I'm not going to critique you because I would never think of doing that. So play us something here. Play us something.
All right. I think this is called Chelsea Hotel by Leonard Cohen. And,
okay. Yeah.
So this is one of the first songs that I've learned.
Okay.
And it's basically that over and over again.
Yeah, no, that's awesome, man. I love it. I love the fact that you're bettering yourself. You're a cool dude. I'm glad we had a chance to talk to you. I actually don't mind the hair. Looks pretty good, man.
Yeah. Thanks.
Good.
Maybe I'll keep it. Maybe you'll see it next season.
I'd love to see it flowing in the back as you're running away from defenders.
Yeah, me and Stusek. You won't be able to tell who's who.
All right, Riley. Thanks for this. I appreciate it, man.
All right. Yeah. Thank you very much. Take care.
Here with Nathaniel Durkan. Do you go by Nathaniel or Nathan?
Nathaniel, yeah.
Nathaniel, that's awesome. That's a little different. Do you have trouble telling people how to spell it?
Yeah, all the time. That's why like most of the team they just call me Dirk. So
okay. Is that your nickname?
Yeah.
Dirk. Has that been your nickname for as long as you can remember, or did you have any other nicknames growing up?
No, it's pretty much just been Dirk like for a couple years now. So
awesome. You had a kind of a breakout year last year. You're going into your 5th year here in 2021, but you had a breakout year. It's tough getting as many targets as you'd probably like in that receiving core, right?
Yeah, we're pretty stacked, but I have no complaints. You know, it's always fun playing with those guys. So
yeah. So what is it? How does that help you, for lack of a better word, being the third guy? You got the Philpott boys. You've emerged a real good third threat, or the third threat. But does that give you some favorable matchups?
Oh yeah, I mean it makes all defenses we play a lot more honest. You know, like they can't like double cover too many people, and I don't know. It just makes it a lot more open. The field opens up for all of us. So
yeah. Okay. So take the Vanier Cup aside. What was your favorite game last year? The last year you played, 2019.
For me, it was probably going back to UBC. Like it was, I think that was week 3. It was my first USPORTS touchdown. I think it was like my second USPORTS catch too. So it was, and then like all of my friends and family got to come to see it. So it was a pretty cool experience for me.
So you were a Simon Fraser guy, and then you come to Calgary. Why did you come? Why the switch?
For me, I just thought that it was the best thing to do. I felt like my skills were probably more suited to the Canadian game. We didn't win too many games when I was there. Well, when I was there, we didn't win any, but they're doing a lot better now. But it was just kind of like a breaking point kind of thing. You know, like our coach, he moved on, and it was kind of open. So I decided to make the move. Like,
what do you like? What do you like best about Canadian football?
It's got to be just the waggle. It's so much more advantageous for a receiver, you know. So
it's almost unfair, isn't it?
I think, like, yeah. I mean, you get 10 to 12 yards to just sprint at a guy. So,
yeah, like quarterback's the toughest position to play. Would you not agree? Probably halfback, defensive halfback's probably the next toughest.
Oh yeah, like especially that field side halfback. That guy's probably got the hardest job in Canadian football. He's got to cover so much space and it's just a lot of room. So, what's
your favorite route, Nathaniel?
Mine, I mean, from where I play, like I play the third receiver in. I like running corners. There's just a lot of room. You can play with the DB a lot. It's probably my favorite one. It's like that's my favorite one to catch too, because it comes up and over, and I don't know.
That's interesting, because that would be kind of a challenging one to catch, right? Because you are kind of contorting your body, right, when you're making that catch.
Yeah, it's fun though. Like they always end up being big plays, or you can make a play on the ball when the DB's kind of out of position. So yeah, I like that one.
Is there a secondary, at least from your memory almost 2 years ago? Is there a secondary you like going up against? Is there a player you like matching up against?
Yeah, I mean, I'd probably just have to say Nick Cross. That guy was, he was probably the best defender that I went against, like in games, and it was just a battle, like to get open. You know, it was pretty competitive, so I'd probably say him.
Yeah, Regina kid likes the trash talk a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, I have a lot of respect for him. He's a great player. So
yeah, he is an absolute great player. So what are you taking in school, Nathaniel?
Well, at SFU, I was in criminology, and then when I transferred here, they didn't have that. So I'm in law and society, which is kind of parallel to that. And then, so I have a history major and a law and society minor.
What's your plan after football's done, whenever that might be?
I'm gonna try and get into law school. We'll see. We'll see what ends up happening. And then they have the University of Calgary has a Masters of Management program here for students that's put on by the business department. So I might try and get into that.
Do you have aspirations to play professionally after university is done?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope they still have a season and everything. I hope.
Do you feel this move was good for you, for contacts and maybe life after football?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, Vancouver felt like a really big city, and Calgary feels like I've just made like a lot more friends. I just feel like I know a lot more people here, and I can do a lot more in a city like this. So it was perfect for me.
Would you say you bettered yourself during this pandemic? They always say don't waste a crisis. Have you bettered yourself maybe as a football player and a person? Can you identify any areas where you've gotten better, you think?
I mean, football wise, the gyms were closed here for quite a while. So I tried doing what I could, but for school, I definitely, like, my grades definitely got better. Started reading like books, which I haven't done in a while. So
you're not the first guy to say that. Can you give me let's do the Nathaniel Durkan book club. Do you have a good book that you could maybe give us some tips on?
Yeah, I mean, I read Deshaun Watson's book, and then I read Tim Tebow's book. So it's not like I wasn't reading like fiction novels, but they were kind of like, they were kind of just like life lesson kind of thing, but I found them interesting. So
are you shocked by the Deshaun Watson you read about and what we're seeing now?
Oh yeah, I mean, like I can't, like, I don't know what's gonna happen, but from the book that I read, he seemed like a completely different person than what he's being portrayed as. So
decent. What'd you like about Tim Tebow's book?
Well, the book was it was about his transition from football to baseball. And he never really gave up on himself. Yeah. And he's a huge like Christian too. So he talked a lot about like his outreach programs and stuff. And he's just a great guy. So it was a lot of stuff.
Are you a Christian guy? Are you a community minded guy?
Yeah. I've been going to church for like ever since I can remember. My parents definitely instilled that in me.
Yeah. What denomination are you, if you don't mind me asking?
I'm a Lutheran.
Lutheran? Okay, cool. Yeah. Do you have that spirit to give back to the community too? Charity-minded guy, so to speak?
Oh yeah. I mean, like, I've been volunteering coaching and stuff like that back home for a long time. And I'd love to do that more. It's like, it's kind of difficult with the pandemic. People don't really want to send you out and stuff. So yeah. I don't know, but I definitely look forward to going back to normal. 2
football questions to wrap up with. Was that the first championship you had won, the 2019 Vanier Cup? What was that like for you that day?
Yeah, I mean, it was a long time coming for me. I have a notebook that I wrote down when I was transferring schools that I would be a Vanier Cup winner the following year. And when we came here, we lost to Saskatchewan, but I kept the notebook. So eventually, like, I got to check it off, which was really cool for me. My mom was there, so I got to share that with her. She's done a lot for me, but that was my first championship I've ever won. So that's I was going to ask you that. That's immediately who you thought of when you won, is your mom? Oh yeah, I ran right to her in the stands.
That's awesome. Can never get away from mom. That's cool. So my last question ties in perfectly to your famous Nathaniel Durkan notebook. Do you have some personal goals for yourself in 2021? What would be one personal goal for yourself?
Well, we have a lot of guys moving on, and I'm going into my 5th year, so I want to kind of take that leadership role, mentor the younger guys a bit. And then from a football standpoint, I want to try and break like my yards from the year before. More catches, more yards, and then in the weight room, like I just want to. I stopped lifting heavy a ton. I just want to get back to like athleticism and stuff, jumps. Like we're gonna be doing testing soon, so I have a couple different goals, but those are probably the main ones.
So did you feel not comfortable lifting that heavy? Like your body didn't feel like your body, or?
Well, no, you just turn into kind of like, well, for me personally, I just turn into a robot and I can't really run routes, you know? It's like.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Hey, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you. Best of luck. Can't wait to see you on the field and to defend the Vanier Cup.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Mike.
All right, here with Huskies coach Scott Flory. Scott, let's talk about Nick Summack. Boy, he's a busy guy on and off the field. I know he's an Edmonton Eskimos draft pick, but he didn't even go to camp this year with the Eskimos because he's trying to finish his schooling. Tell us about that.
Yeah, I know he's a full-time student all summer. He's doing his master's in CPA in accounting, and he's getting into a program coming up here in the fall at the U of S. So yeah, he's a full-time. Unfortunate timing is just his schooling stuff, and it's only offered this time, and get that out of the way, and then he'll have next year to be able to go to camp there with the Eskimos.
Is he kind of the epitome of what you expect from one of your athletes in terms of student athlete? Because we think of the athlete part, me and you were athletes, right? We love athletics, but the student part is a full-time job.
No, you're right, Michael. It absolutely is. And I think that we want to make sure that that's not lost, even on, our best players. I mean, Nick is a CFL draft pick, and he is dedicated to his education and his academics, as he should be. When the athletics part is there, he's 100% all in, and he'll do it, but he understands, and he's got that priority straight in that, pro football is really cool. He's going to give it his best shot, and he'll play as long as he possibly can, but he also knows the rest of his life is a long time, and that education piece is going to carry him a lot further.
You were fortunate to play a long career where you Canadian Football Hall of Famer, won some great cups. But what is your message to these kids when you preach to guys like Nick Summack about football and the business side of football, and it can be over just like that?
Man, I'm lucky. I'm not gonna I just pretty lucky, injury free, all that kind of stuff, and had a chance to play a long career at a great team. So I would do it all the time though, Michael, as a player. I mean, I remember guys coming in, all the young kids. I'm like, young O-linemen, they come in, they get on the roster, and the first thing I'm like, have you finished your school? No, I got a few classes. I'm like, go finish it this offseason. Go get it done, finish that. I don't want you to end up, in something that's less desirable. Finish your degree, and then you can take it from there, you know what I mean? And I was hard on a lot of those young guys coming in, and that was just a part that I've been preaching for a long time with these guys, and I do it with my own kids as well.
Scott Flory here talking to us in place of Nick Summack because I just couldn't catch up with him in the offseason. Very busy guy. So I do want to add an interview component as it relates to Nick. So that's why I have you here. So tell me about Nick Summack, the football player. We know he's drafted by the Eskimos. The tape doesn't lie. You coaches always say that. The tape never lies. The tape shows me he's a pretty good football player, but what do you see through your eyes?
Yeah, no, Nick he's a big, he's about 6'7", 6'8", I think. He's long, he's athletic, he moves really well. Nick he's a great story because he played 2 years with the Hilltops, and I didn't know anything about him, came out of high school. And then he ended up coming over to us. I was part of the recruiting process and get him to us, and he comes in, he's got 5 years here with us, and man, he has just grown leaps and bounds. He went from kind of a gangly giraffe to a kind of a thoroughbred. He's absolutely bought in, changed his body. He's just a great teammate, man. The guy, if he doesn't, you got to smile when you're around him. He's just fun to be around, and he's a really, really good football player, aside from being a really, really good man.
Lastly, speaking of big guys, I'm looking at you, man. You look like a wide receiver. You don't even look like a former offensive lineman. What are you even doing? I want some of that, big man.
No, it's output is input, man. I mean, if you put less in, you're gonna not from a work standpoint, from a consumption calorie standpoint. But listen, it was occupational hazard. My guy, I talked to my big guys about that too. You don't want to be 300 plus pounds your whole life. They know that when you're playing football, it's part of the gig, it's part of the job. You got to be able to do that. But for them, they also know they're learning good habits about training and nutrition that post-football career, they'll be able to transform themselves again.
You know, we've had the Berglofs on this countdown. We got the SUMMACH. We got the Noah Zers. You got a great offensive line. You're a great offensive lineman. It really is probably the most unique position in North American sports, in that your whole goal is to give up your body and sacrifice yourself for the common good. So it's probably the closest thing to a soldier in the game of football. That's how I feel anyway.
Yeah, I know it's a great analogy, Michael. It really is. I mean, if you look at it, you're doing something that's so abnormal from everything else in sport. Everything else in sport is going forward. It's you're trying to go get something, and from an offensive line perspective, you're trying to keep everybody away from something. You know what I mean? So it's just so right, because that's really what you're trying to do. It's so abnormal, and there really isn't. There's no individual stats. There's none of that stuff, and you really get it's such a selfless position, and you get all your success through others. You know, those guys are never more excited than when Mackert has a big run or when Nias throws a pass to a receiver. They're the first ones down there celebrating because they know how important that they are in that big picture.
Well, Scott, I'm looking forward to watching Nick SUMMACH, and I'm watching your team play, man. I can't wait to see what happens. Congratulations on a great offseason, on losing that weight, and can't wait to watch you guys get on a football field for the first time in forever.
Yeah, man. Thanks, Michael. And thanks for all you do for this, man. I mean, and I can't wait for football to return. The goosebumps are already there. So.
Yeah, Lake KORTE Moore. Tell me about him.
You know, Lake is you know, that kind of DN, that prototypical kind of DN at 6'5", about 245. You know, he's you know, he had a lot of opportunities last year to make, or the last time he played, to make a lot of plays. Just didn't get a chance to finish them. But I think, you know, just with what he's kind of done this offseason, he'll be turning a lot of heads. I know he didn't get an East-West Bowl invite, but I think once he kind of puts it all together, and once we kind of showcase what he can do this year on the field, he has all the tools to be you know, a really good special teams player, and then down the road contribute on defense. Super long, you know, has a good long arm, has good pass rush moves, super intelligent, can work, and is super athletic. So I expect him to have a big year this year.
Fact of the matter is, some guys are late bloomers. You look at a Josh Haggerty with the U of S Huskies. I talked to him. I thought he would never have had a chance of making the Argos, and now he's playing. Like it just some guys bloom later, right?
Yep, and that's exactly what it is for some guys.
Yeah. Okay, and the last guy I want to talk about is Trey Kellogg, a guy that he's got all the talent. He just got to consistently put it together, in my opinion.
Yeah, and that's going to be, you know, that's always kind of been his Achilles heel, is just kind of putting that consistency together, you know, putting everything together. Has all the packages, all the tools, all the traits, super bright kid, super intelligent, you know, one of our best receivers that we've had here, just has to put it all together. So I think this year, hopefully our quarterback situation, you know, we're still pretty young there, but as our quarterback situation kind of filters itself out there, you know, we'll have somebody who can reliably get him the ball and give him a chance to showcase all that he, you know, his talent has and all of his athletic ability has.
You know, that's a good point. Lastly, Shamari, if you got a great receiver, if you're trying to work out your quarterback situation, that doesn't help the receiver out sometimes, right? Like sometimes you can maybe unfairly criticize a guy when, I mean, it's not his fault.
Yeah, and you know, and I don't want to take away anything. You know, football is one of those ultimate team sports. You know, it comes down to the O-line, comes down to the running back to help alleviate things for the receiver. It comes down to the quarterback, comes down to receiver. So there's a lot of moving parts to it. But, you know, obviously the quarterback's one of the most important positions. So having a guy that, you know, reliably can get you the ball, that has that chemistry, and, you know, having an O-lineman that can protect for you, having a back that can get you 4 or 5 yards is just going to make the life for the receiver that much easier. So if we can put all those little pieces together, which I think we can this year, you know, Trey should have a big year for us.
And that brings to a close another installment of the CanWest Top 50. Thanks for checking us out. Want to thank my assistants Eric Cox and the man known as Dieter. Remember, do your part to grow the game.